Hello and welcome to Rathod Science Academy. Today in this session we are going to see very important articles that appeared in our today's newspaper. First of all, I'll let you know important topics of the day, and later on we are going to analyze each and every topic from prelims and as well as mains point of view, and I'll let you know how questions can be asked from both prelims and as well as mains, and at last I'll be giving you prelims practice questions also raised. Okay, now let us see the topics of the day. The first topic it is about spotted deer. There is one image in international edition which shows about the spotted deer. We are going to see some facts related to that. And this topic is important from environment and ecology from GS paper 3. And next topic is India-Indonesia review bilateral ties as Jaishankar meets his counterpart. So this article is talking about India and Indonesia relations, and this topic is important from GS paper 2 from IIM. And next topic is poor facilities stigma force Odisha girls to skip school during menstruation, says one study. So here we have to link recent Supreme Court judgment related to menstrual health with what exactly happening at the ground level. And here you have to analyze what is your role in future. And this topic is important from GS paper 2 under polity. And next topic is about testing times. This is about recent GDP forecast of our government, and this article is telling exactly what are the advantages we have and what are the challenges we have. And this topic is important from economy from GS paper 3. And next topic it is about missed call. It is talking about southwest monsoon. As we all know that this time we are going to have El Nino. Because of this we have to take some steps to conserve water. So this article is talking about that, and it is important from your geography from GS paper 1. And next topic is the ordinance question before Supreme Court. So here you have to say about ordinance, and recently our president used ordinance to increase the strength of Supreme Court judges. So here we are going to talk about that question of this ordinance, and this topic is important from GS paper 2 under polity. Okay, now let us see in detail slowly. Okay, see this image guys. In Hindu paper we have different editions, but in our class we will discuss international edition. Why we discuss international edition is, if you take Hyderabad or Vijayawada or whatever the edition, they will focus on the local news more. But from UPSC point of view, they won't give the local news. They will give only important news. Okay, so here we are going to see that important news from this international edition. So in that international edition, in the front page itself, I can see this image. Okay, so this image you can see it is about deers. Okay, so this deer name is spotted deer, and it is also called as cheetal, CHITAL. If you have seen PYQs of UPSC from environment, many a times in options they gave cheetal. So if you analyze PYQs of at least 40 to 45 years back from environment and ecology, UPSC will give questions on the options of related to animals or plant species. So there is a very high chance of getting question related to cheetal next year. Why? Because in 2026 there is a question on lion-tailed macaque. UPSC gave options on that many a times, and this time they gave question on that, and next time they may give you question on that. So how UPSC can give you a question if they want to frame any question on animal species? Consider the following statements regarding to cheetal. In bracket they may give you spotted deer, and under that they will give you 2 to 3 statements, and they may ask you to identify which of the above statements are correct or incorrect. That is a way of asking question by UPSC, okay, from environment and ecology, and every year minimum 1 question, maximum 2 questions you can see from this area. Okay, and if you see all those PYQs, there will be around 30 to 35 species that you have to know. If you have did that work, then it will be easy to answer that one question. Okay, yes. Now let us see some facts regarding the spotted deer. Please make a note, spotted deer is also called as cheetal, CHITAL, cheetal, and it is the most common deer species that we can see in Indian forest. And even UPSC have tendency to ask about scientific name also. Scientific name of this cheetal is Axis axis, and it is native to Indian subcontinent guys. Okay, And apart from Indian subcontinent, we can see in some other parts of South Asia also. In Sri Lanka, we can see this. We can see in Bangladesh, we can see in Bhutan, and even some areas of Pakistan also we can see this deer. That means if there is any statement which says that this spotted deer is endemic to India or Western Ghats or Himalayas, is that statement right? Wrong. What is the meaning of endemic? That will be seen only in that region. If you are going out of that region, we cannot see that animal species. That is the meaning of endemic. So this is commonly seen in India, but even apart from India also in other regions we can see this spotted deer. Okay, and if you see the features, no need of remembering the numbers, but just for your knowledge I am saying here, it is around 35 inches tall and it weighs around 187 pounds. No need of remembering this. Okay, and it is having reddish brown coat on the above part, and under belly part it is having white in color. And this one is all over the body, we can see generally white spots. Because of this, the name of this deer is spotted deer. And we can see sexual dimorphism. What is the meaning of sexual dimorphism? Have you heard this word sexual dimorphism? Have you heard this word sexual dimorphism? Anyone? What is the meaning of sexual dimorphism? Just by looking at them, we can identify whether it is male or female. That is called as sexual dimorphism. For example, if you take humans, by seeing a person, can you say like, is that person is a male or female? Easily we can identify that. Even in animals also, by seeing that we can identify whether it is a male animal or a female animal. That is called as sexual dimorphism. Normally, if you see animals, how can we identify whether it is a male or female? By looking at that animal. The first one here is based on size. Normally, males will have like more size or more big compared to that of females. So, even in these cheetahs also we can see males are larger in size compared to that of females. Okay, and this one is here is only male deers will have this antlers. You know this one, no, horns. They are called as antlers. Normally male will have antlers but not female. By seeing this also we can identify. Even if you see sheep also, we can see, right? So male will be having big horns on their heads. Females not. So in the same way in these deers also antlers will be present on males but not females. Okay, and lifespan of this animal is 20 to 30 years. And normally they can be seen in the groups, and those group is called as herd. Sheep herd, goat herd, like that, deer herd. Okay, and see this conservation status. In IUCN Red List, it is listed under least concern. That means their number is good. So there is no need of conservation of that animals right now. That is the meaning of least concern, guys. So these are the some important facts. First, you have to see what is that the alternate name, scientific name, and where it is commonly seen, and whether it is herbivorous animal or carnivorous or omnivorous. Normally, these deers are herbivorous animals, and the IUCN Red List status. Okay, see this title, guys. Read out the title. What does it mean? India, Indonesia review bilateral ties as Jaishankar meets his counterpart. Okay, what is the meaning of this title? It is talking about India-Indonesia relations. Where exactly you will study about India-Indonesia relations? In your general studies paper 2, you have international relations. That subject will be dealing about India and how it is having relations with other countries. Whether we have friendly nations or whether we have enemy nations, or how the relationship are going on and which kind of cooperation we are going to have between that country and India. Like that we will be studying each and everything related to that country and India in that subject. So here whenever you are getting any articles related to India and one country, you have to see that because it is part of our syllabus. And what exactly you have to see whenever you are getting this kind of articles? You will be having atlas or else map is there. First of all, you have to see where is that country located. Indonesia. If you see that country, then we can understand whether it is part of Asia. You know continents, right? How many continents do we have? 7 continents. What are they? Asia, Africa, Australia, Europe, North America, South America and Antarctica. So first of all, you have to see that country which is part of which continent. Either it belongs to Asia or Australia, or whether it belongs to like America. We have to see where exactly that country is. And next one is you have to see country sharing borders with which country. And you have to see whether we have any nearby water bodies or not. On water bodies, UPSC will ask you a question. And if you see 2026 paper, there is a question on one water body. What is that? Strait of Hormuz, right? So in that way, if any country, if it is sharing boundary with any water body, if it is highly seen in news, on that UPSC will ask you a question. You have to know that. Okay, and next you have to see about how the relations are going on between India and that country. And next we have to see, do we have any challenges or any problems with that country or not? You have to see that. And next you have to see what are the measures can be taken or what is the way forward. If in case if there is any question in prelims, that will be on map. Maximum that will be on map, and in mains point of view they will be asking you on this area, like what are the areas of cooperation, how the relationship is going on, and they may ask you about challenges and measures. So in this area only they will ask you mains based question. Okay, now let us see this article. Here, who is this person? Okay, what is his post? Ministry of External Affairs. That means he will be taking care of foreign relations between India and other countries. That is the basic idea, right? So now our External Affairs Minister met External Affairs Minister of Indonesia. Counterpart is nothing but who is here from Indian side, in the same way in the opposite side. For example, if Indian Prime Minister is there, who is the counterpart of Indian Prime Minister in Indonesia? Indonesian Prime Minister. That is the meaning of counterpart. President of India, President of Indonesia. Prime Minister of India, Prime Minister of Indonesia. Here External Affairs Minister of India, External Affairs Ministry of Indonesia. That is the meaning of counterpart. Who is from here? From other side. Okay. Now let us see here. India, Indonesia reviews bilateral ties. What is the meaning of bilateral? Unilateral, bilateral, multilateral. Have you heard this word? Unilateral means only from one side. Bi means from two sides, both the sides. Multi means different countries. Okay. So here India and Indonesia, they are reviewing bilateral relations between them. And who is attending this meet? Minister of External Affairs Minister met Minister of External Minister of Indonesia, and they talked about the relations, how we can move forward in the future. Okay, that is about this article. So here what you have to see, what they reviewed. You need to know though. So title itself it is saying that they went for a review meeting. So what they reviewed, you have to know about that. Okay, and after saying this review, how it will help India or what is the impact on India, you have to see that. This part is called as analysis. That will be not given in any part of article, but you have to think from your own side. That is called as analysis of Hindu articles. Just don't read whatever the thing which is given here and don't write each and every word which is given here. That will not help you in your examination, that too in this UPSC. You have to analyze these articles. Okay, now let us see the context. You know, our External Affairs Minister and his Indonesian counterpart held 8th India-Indonesia Joint Commission. And in this meet, they are reviewing about the relationship between India and Indonesia. Okay, so what they talked about? They talked about defense, security and maritime cooperation. What is the meaning of defense and security? Defense is related to army, Navy and Air Force. And we are focusing on security. Security of what? Actually, this Indonesia, which is an island nation, which is located in Indo-Pacific region, right? So here, maintenance of security in this Indo-Pacific region is very important. Why? What is the reason? Chinese aggressive expansionist policy is happening, and China is seen everywhere, not only on land, even the water also. So for that reason, we need to improve security in this area, that is called as maritime security. And India and Indonesia, they talked about this defense and security and maritime cooperation in this meet. And next one is, we talked about trade, investment and to improve economy also. So now we want to have good relations with other countries so that we can export our goods. So that what happens, obviously the production can be increased in our country. So for that reason, we are increasing our trade relationship with Indonesia. And India is very good at pharmaceutical company. So if you are producing more and more in India, will we consume all medicines? No. We have to export it to other countries. So now we are going to export more medicines to Indonesia. Pharmaceuticals, healthcare and digital economy also one area of discussion in this meet. And this one is energy, connectivity and space. We are also talking about increasing of energy, increasing of connectivity through roads and as well as rails, whatever it may be. And this one is, we are also focusing on increasing of education, culture and consular matters. And related to education, I think you might have like already if you completed graduation here, we will go to other countries to do our masters. So even this Indonesia is one important destination for our Indian graduates to do their masters. And this one is, we want to revive overall our political relations with Indonesia. So these are the review things they had talked. And now you have to think why this review meet happened now. Our Prime Minister, he is going to visit Indonesia soon. So before going that, if we had finalized all these things, it will be easy for our Prime Minister to finalize what are the things we had talked, right? So this is about this meet and what we talked. You have to remember about trade, investments, defense, security and education, pharmaceuticals. At least 5 to 6 points you have to remember. Okay, now you guys tell me, after saying this, what is the impact? What do you think? Is this relationship with Indonesia is good for India or bad for India? Obviously, it is good for India. And what we are going to get? Take out one by one. Take out the security point and maritime cooperation. India is sharing boundary with which countries? Pakistan, China, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar. Which are the enemy countries? Pakistan and China, with which we had wars earlier, right? That means obviously we need to increase our defense system to fight against China or not? Yes, that is one reason. And you know that China is increasing its expansionist policy in waters. So for that reason, obviously we need to improve our security in the waters. And not only that, in this maritime arena, we are also having lots of other issues. What are those other issues? Human trafficking is happening, drug trafficking is happening, piracy is happening, right? So to protect India from that kind of threats, obviously we need to have the help of countries which are sharing boundary with this Indo-Pacific region. That is the next one. And this one is obviously trade. Trade is very important for India, right? If you are having good relations with other countries, we can improve our markets, right? Indian goods we can send to other countries. So that what happens, overall the exports of our country will be enhanced. If exports are increased, then what happens? They will pay money, no, they will not, we will not give for free of cost. They will pay in what? Foreign currency. In our country, we can maintain good foreign currency reserves. If you have maintained good foreign currency reserves, what happens? We can attract more and more investments into our country. And even credit rating companies will give good rating for our country, right? and India can maintain stable economy. And India has one target. What is that? Viksit Bharat. What is this Viksit Bharat? India is called as developing country only. But now the aim of government is at least by 2047, India should get the status of developed country status. If we want to get that, obviously we need to increase our trade, we need to increase our production, and we need to increase good relationship with the other countries also. That is the reason. Okay, that is one more impact. And see here, pharmaceutical and healthcare. And here, if you are maintaining the good relations with other countries, we can export our pharmaceutical related drugs, medicines, cough syrups, or whatever it may be, so that we can improve our pharmaceutical sector in our country. And this relationship, it is not only for economy, even we can increase the goodwill of the other countries also. Why? Because in do you know this COVID-19 period? At that time, we used to require like lot of medicines, and especially we were seeing to different countries like whether they will provide vaccines or not. At that time, India only invested lot in R&D, and we developed our own vaccines, and we supplied to people of our country. Not only Indian government supplied vaccines to our country, even we sent to other countries. That is called as vaccine diplomacy. That means if you want to improve this people to people ties, and if you want to enhance humanitarian assistance, this will be very helpful. Okay. So not only from economy point of view, this pharmaceutical and healthcare, we are also focusing on diplomacy, health diplomacy with other countries. And this one is obviously energy, connectivity and space. Okay, you know about education. So we are going to have lots of advantages, and we are going to have lots of impact on India because of this India-Indonesia meet. Clear? So in this way you have to study this. Okay, see this next article. Look at this title, read out the title. Poor facilities, stigma force Odisha girls to skip school during menstruation, say study. Okay. To understand this, you have to know recent Supreme Court judgment. Everyone knows fundamental rights, right? What are these fundamental rights? I think you might have studied at least in your school days. What are these fundamental rights? They are the basic rights which is given to citizens of India. Can you tell me how many fundamental rights do we have? 6. What are they? Right to life. Next. Right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to religious freedom. Yes. So here very important article in this fundamental rights is, okay, tell me which article talks about fundamental rights first of all. There is one question related to this in 2026 paper. It is about Article 13. It talks about law. They gave one philosophical question, X, Y, like that, no? That is about this Article 13. That is indirect question of Article 13 which says about what is law. Okay, if you say about fundamental rights, Article 12 to Article 35 talks about fundamental rights. And they are present in which part of Constitution? 3, 4, 4A, 5. Yes, they are present in Part 3 of Indian Constitution. From today onwards, polity will get started. So don't worry if you don't know about that. Okay, don't be tensed. So in Part 3 of our Constitution, Article 12 to Article 35 talks about this fundamental rights. Okay. Recently, Supreme Court gave a judgment related to Article 21. And it expanded the scope of Article 21. Article 21 talks about right to life and personal liberty. Article 21 talks about right to life and personal liberty. And recently what Supreme Court expanded under this is right to menstrual health. Right to menstrual health or access to menstrual products is part of Article 21 for girls. Okay, recently Supreme Court said that right to menstrual products, right to menstrual health is a fundamental right which comes under Article 21. And under the Supreme Court said that whatever the schools which are there, either it may be private schools or government schools. You know this private schools and government schools, right? So whatever the schools it may be, like private schools or government schools, they have to provide menstrual products for this girls who are in this menstrual age. That is the Supreme Court judgment. In that judgment, Supreme Court said that schools has to maintain proper toilets, proper water facility, soap facility, and even whatever the products they need to maintain menstrual health, that should be provided by the schools itself. Why? What is the reason? Because it is their right to life. And next one here is because of lack of access to this menstrual health in the schools, girls are going for drop off. You know this dropouts? Dropout in the schools. So whenever they get into this menstrual age, because of lack of privacy, because of lack of availability of sanitary reasons, so they are stopping to going to the school. Because of this, what happen? It will leads to inequality, and that will leads to increasing of dropouts in girls compared to that of males. Even it will affect right to education of the girls also. Okay, that is the judgment of Supreme Court recently. And now here you can see the title, guys. Poor facilities, stigma force Odisha girls to skip school during menstruation. Recently Supreme Court only gave that judgment. That means it has to be implemented at the ground level. But recently one study says that girls are not attending schools during their menstrual cycles. And they gave exactly the reasons. How you can get a question here? The question can come in mains in this way. In the light of recent Supreme Court judgment related to expansion of Article 21 related to menstrual health, what are the challenges faced by schools which leads to increased dropouts of women? Are you understanding? So what they are asking that question? What are the reasons? And what they can ask? Suggest some measures. And this article is exactly telling about what challenges faced by the girls in the schools. Please make a note of that, guys. It may be a 10 marker question. Today I will be giving you a question on this topic. Try to write an answer for this. Already answer writing classes had been done from last 1 week. You have to write your answers. Okay, see this, guys. The first important reason they said is pain and discomfort. And next one is lack of privacy, inadequate facilities, social stigma. And next one is persistent gaps in menstrual hygiene management, lack of infrastructure, awareness, lack of awareness, institutional support system. Okay, non-availability of water and soap. And lack of menstrual waste disposal facilities. Okay, so these are the problems which are said here, and if you write that problems, it is more than enough related to challenges. Please make a note. First one is pain and discomfort. Second one is lack of privacy. Third one is inadequate facilities and social stigma. And fourth one is persistent gaps in menstrual hygiene management, lack of awareness and infrastructure, and lack of institutional support system, non-availability of water and soap, and lack of waste disposal facilities. There are around 8 points here. Okay, on this UPSC can ask you a 10 mark question because of recent Supreme Court judgment on it. And now you have to think about way forward, or what are the measures. Now you guys tell me what are the measures can be taken into account. And on this, not only a mains question in UPSC, they may ask you even ethics case study also. You are a district collector in your area, government schools, you are not providing proper facilities, and there is increased dropout of girls. So in that situation, what steps will you take? What will be your course of action? Like that, UPSC can ask you a case study also. If there's if anything related to society, if Supreme Court gave the judgment on it, UPSC for sure it will ask a case study on that. So in that way, you can also get a case study, and you have to think about, if you are a district collector, what steps will you take to solve this problem? Because ultimately UPSC will be like recruiting you to solve the people problems, right? So it is also one societal problem you have to address. Okay, now tell me guys, what is the way forward, or what are the measures can be taken to solve this problem? First one is, in the government schools, what we have to do? Improve infrastructure, and we have to ensure water facility will be available, and government need to provide certain funds so that the schools can maintain proper menstrual hygiene products. Okay, next one is, we have to improve awareness. Okay, we have to teach about the menstrual health in the class, so that even male can support, or boys can support women at that time. Next, so that we can avoid this problem of social stigma, and it is a biological thing which happens every month. Okay, there is no need to think that it is a wrong phenomenon like that. We have to go for education of boys and girls in the classes. What can you do next? Okay, that's it guys. See this once, and in introduction you can write about recent Supreme Court judgment highlights. See this article and you have to answer this question. What does this title says? Testing times. GDP data reveal some strengths, but they will come under strain. What does the meaning of this? Just read this guys. I will zoom it out. Just read the second statement and tell me. GDP data reveal some strengths, but they will come under strain. What does it mean? Okay, what is the keyword here? GDP. What is the full form of GDP? Gross Domestic Product. What exactly is this gross domestic product? It is a total value of final goods. It is the total value of final goods produced within a country within 1 year. This concept is called as GDP. That means, is it measuring economic activities in our country or not? Yes. GDP is nothing but the total value of final goods and services which are produced in a country within 1 year is called as GDP. So why it is in news recently? Our government of India came up with GDP forecast. Okay, what it said in this GDP forecast? In year 2025 to 2026, we are going to have around 7.7% of GDP. Okay, recently why it is in news is, our government came up with a forecast that in this year we are going to have GDP of 7.7%. If you compare with earlier, it is 7.1, it is 7.2, like that. That means this time we are expecting that there is a good economic growth will happen in our country. That is about this context. And now read this guys. GDP data which is talking about recent forecast reveals some strength. That means we are going to have some advantages, but they will come under strain, means we are also going to have some challenges. What exactly this article is saying about advantages and challenges? Okay, they will give only 2 to 3 points only. With that you cannot write your mains answer. So you have to use your general studies knowledge and you have to squeeze the points case. Now you have to tell me, this time we are expecting 7.7% of what? GDP growth. Now you guys tell me what are the advantages we have and what are the challenges we have. Are you understanding my question? Are you getting my point? So tell me guys, if 7.7% of GDP means what advantages we have? Production will be increased. Okay, accepted. Next. If you are increasing production, how we will increase our production? By creating employment only, no. We will employ many people and will produce more. That means employment will be increased. If employment is increased, what about unemployment? Yes, we are decreasing unemployment in our country. That is a major reason. If you are decreasing unemployment, what does it mean? Whoever we are employing here, we will give salaries to them. Yes. If we are giving salaries to them on time, what about the standard of living? Increases. They will be having good life. Standard of living will be improved. And what about poverty? Increase or decreases in our country? Yes, decreases. What about hunger? Yes, hunger decreases. Then what about nutrition of the people? Improved nutrition or malnutrition? Yes, improved nutrition. This will be the advantages. Are you understanding? Now tell me guys, what challenges do we have in our economy? And we have to add further more points here. I'll tell which points you have to add. Don't make notes now. I'll dictate, then you can make the notes. Now tell me, what challenges do we have in our economy? Huh? Please. Yes, crisis. So what is the major challenge here is, now we are having geopolitical challenges. What are these geopolitical challenges? On one side, Russia-Ukraine war is still going on. Yes. And next one here is, you know what is happening in this West Asia? US and Israel are attacking Iran. In retaliation, Iran is also attacking that countries. So because of this, what happened? Strait of Hormuz had been closed and there is no movement of what? No movement of ships. So from this region, what we are getting to India? Oil and as well as gas. So here we are having problem of oil and gas. So it will be having impact on our energy sector. Okay, we are having impact on our energy sector. There is increased diesel price, petrol price, and even gas availability is not there properly in our country. Especially commercial gas is affecting a lot. Yes, so that is one problem now we are having. Okay, next. Inflation, that comes under here only. Okay, because of increased oil prices, obviously that will lead to inflation. Inflation means overall the products, goods, services cost will be increased in our country. What is happening for our monsoon? Delayed monsoon this time, delayed by 4 days. Actually, this monsoon winds should hit Kerala coast on 1st of June, but it hit on 4th of June. Delayed monsoon. And which one is this time? Are we expecting good rainfall? This time we are expecting less rainfall because of which phenomena? El Nino. Okay, second important challenge is, this time we are having El Nino. Because of that less rainfall we are expecting this time. Because of less rainfall, what happened? Which sector will be getting affected the most? Yes, agriculture sector. So agriculture sector can hit the most. If agriculture sector hit, what about food production? Increased or decreased? Decreased. Decreased food production, can we ensure food security? Again, food security is in question now because of this. Next, anything that you want to add in these challenges? How many sectors do we have? Primary sector, tertiary sector, secondary sector, quaternary, quinary. Keep it those two aside. Normally, we will consider primary, secondary and tertiary. Primary is your agriculture. I wrote here about agriculture. Second one is industries. Third one is service sector. In which sector India is doing extremely good? Service sector. In service sector, we are doing extremely good. Do this service sector will provide more employment or not? Manufacturing sector will provide more employment. If you go to any factory, how many labor will be working? If you're taking any bank, how many people are working? Are you understanding? So normally secondary sector will provide lots of employment, but India is famous for tertiary sector. So again there will be a question whether our industrial sector will produce more employment or not. And even now we are using AI, machine learning. Because of this we are replacing humans with machines. Okay, what is the problem here? Unemployment. So these are the three major challenges. Are you understanding? In this way you have to squeeze the things, guys. If you follow current affairs daily religiously, yes, you can get all these ideas. Are you understanding? If you get any question on this, can you write now? How the question can be? Recently, Government of India released GDP forecast. It is around 7.7%. In the light of the statement, discuss challenges and advantages. Same thing. In this way, you'll get questions in your minds. Okay, it is entirely analysis part. No book will give all this content because everything will be like current scenario. Okay, now let us see this in detail. And there are some other points to be added. I'll let you know what are those. First one is there is overall economic growth. Okay, what they said, around 7.7% of forecast. That is one advantage, that our number of GDP is increasing. And second one is there is a strong performance in certain key sectors. What is the reason? Because of base year effect. We know recently we changed the base year. Because of that, yes, now we can see some strong performance. And why this number is increased? We can say there is increased consumption of people. Yes or no? For example, earlier we used to consume just half kg of chicken on Sunday. Let us take this. Earlier, 5 to 6 years back. But now, in the same day, on the same Sunday, we are consuming 1 kg of chicken or 1.5 kg of chicken. So the amount that we are consuming is increased. That means there is increased demand. Yes or no? Earlier, if you go to your grandmother era, just they used to cook half dozen of eggs and they used to serve entire people in that family. But now, is that enough? No, the consumption demand had been increased. So the third one here they are saying is there is improved consumption of people. So because of this, what happened? Obviously that will lead to increased GDP. And next one is because of increased investments in our country, we can also expect there will be a good growth. And next one here is there is expansion of service sector. Because of that, we are increasing our GDP estimates. So because of all these things, obviously employment will be generated more, people's standard of living can be generated more, and furthermore increased consumption of people, and that will lead to reducing of poverty, reducing of hunger, improving of nutrition. If India is having good healthy people, obviously they will contribute more and more. That will further leads to increased economy of our country. So if the growth will go on this pace, obviously India can reach its target of Viksit Bharat, that is developed country status, and one more important target is 5 trillion economy by 2047. We can achieve that. Okay, in this way you have to analyze the points. And what are the challenges we have? Agriculture sector is weak this time because of monsoon. We are expecting low rainfall this time and because of El Nino, right? And next one here is now one more important problem is fertilizer supply. Because of West Asian crisis, the Strait of Hormuz had been closed, and from that route we will get our fertilizer. And without fertilizer we cannot increase our productivity in our agriculture. So fertilizer shortage is also there in our country. That is the second reason. One is rainfall, second one is fertilizer. And third one here is there is increasing of service sector dominance in our country, and you are creating very less jobs. That is the next problem. And next one is about this geopolitics. energy supply disruptions because of war in Iran and as well as Russia-Ukraine conflict. So what are the points you said they were there? Not? Yes. In that way you have to analyze the points, guys. Okay, see this next article. Read out the title, guys. Missed call. I'm not talking about your mobile calls. It is a missed call. It is about delay of monsoon. Okay. Missed call. India must brace itself for a deficient southwest monsoon. What it is saying? This time we are going to get deficit rainfall. What is the meaning of deficit? Okay, you have to know two words here, deficit and surplus. Deficit. Next one is surplus. Deficit means low. Whatever we expected, rather than that we got something low. For example, you expected that you will get 100 rupees after doing the work, but you get only 80 or 85. That means 15 rupees or 20 rupees less. That is called as deficit. Surplus means you expected you will get 100 rupees, but you got 120 rupees or 110. So that means more than expected. That is called as surplus. This is deficit. So here this article is talking about rainfall deficit. Okay, to make you understand how many seasons we have. Summer, rainy and winter season normally. Okay. During this, in which months we can get rainfall in our country? Summer season when? March, April, May. After that, which season will start? Rainy season only, no? June, July, August, mostly September also we can get rainfall. So this rainfall is called as monsoon rainfall in our country. Okay, in this monsoon season only we will get rainfall. And this time because of El Nino impact, we are going to get less rainfall. That monsoon season, how it will happen, everything, your geography sir will be dealing with that clearly. So as of now, remember, so this time we are going to get rainfall deficit. Okay. We are going to get less rainfall this time. Now you guys tell me, in India, agriculture is dependent on what? Rainfall dependent agriculture only we are doing majorly. Only in some areas we have irrigation through canals, through tube wells. But majorly our agriculture is dependent on rainfall. If rainfall is less, do it affect our agriculture or not? Obviously, it will affect our agriculture. Now you guys tell me, what are the measures? What are the measures can be taken to come out of this tough situation of less rainfall? Are you understanding my question? Tell me guys, what measures can be taken? Yes, normally in India, which crop will be grown? Rice, sugarcane will be like more. Rice needs more amount of water. So if you are having less rainfall, can we grow rice? No. Rather than that, what we have to do? We have to go for growing of crops which require less amount of water. So which crops require less amount of water? Millets. Ragi, jova, bajra. Have you heard this? No? Millets. So we can go for growing of less water intensive crops. Next. Any other measures? Green revolution requires more water. Okay, 2.0. Okay, next. I am talking about water. What can be done? Okay, rainwater harvesting methods we can use. What are the rainwater we are getting? We have to store them and we have to use them efficiently. Next. Okay, I'll tell you the points. If you want, you can make a note. First one is first one is rather than going for water intensive crops, we have to go for less water intensive crops. And government has to give region specific advisories. like in which area we are going to expect rainfall, in which area we are going to get deficient rainfall. We have IMD which will be giving about the forecast of weather. So based on that, we have to give region specific advisories to the farmers. And this one is obviously crop failure will happen if there is no rainfall, right? So government has to get ready with this crop insurance schemes and as well as relief in advance itself. Government has to keep certain amount of funds. And this one is we have to improve coordination between central government and as well as state government for real-time monitoring of rainfall. And government has to give advisories for the farmers to when to go for sowing and when to go for which kind of crops, everything advisory government can give to this farmers. That is the first step. And next one here is we have to persuade, that means we have to change the mindset of farmers to go with short duration and drought resilient crops. That means the crops which can be grown in droughts also. For that we have to promote genetically modified crops or hybrid crops. And we can go for pulse, oil seeds and millets instead of paddy. And this one is water resource management. We have to ensure groundwater management properly, and as well as we have to go for reservoir management. Whatever we are storing in this reservoir, we have to go for managing them properly. And this one here is we have to give strict regulation. We have to keep strict regulation on extraction of water in the deficit zones. So actually in our 2025 UPSC ethics paper, there is one case study. I don't know whether you can recall it or not. The case study goes on this way. We have farmers on one side, we have industries on another side, and we restricted the farmers to use the water and we allowed this industrial people to extract the water, because if industries are closed, many people will be losing an employment like that. There is one case study, there is one controversy which created in this case study in 2025. So that is on this only. So we have to keep a proper regulation on extraction of water. We should not extract more and more groundwater in that area where we have this deficit. And next one here is we have to properly store the water. Whatever the water we are getting in this monsoon season, we have to store it properly and we have to release accordingly. We should not release more excess water. We should not release like low water. And we have to go for micro irrigation themes, and we have to go for increasing of water conservation. So there is one central government scheme, it is called as Atal Bhujal Yojana. We have to implement that scheme in water deficit areas. Okay, those are the steps we can take, guys. Okay, see this article, again it is recent current affairs. Ordinance question before Supreme Court. So if you see this image, what it is showing, it is about Supreme Court and is talking about some people, right? So recently, Supreme Court, how many members are there in Supreme Court? 34, right? So recently what government did? Increased the number of Supreme Court. So how many new judges were added? 5 new judges were added to this Supreme Court. Okay. So actually this number had been added through ordinance of president. So what is the meaning of ordinance? Any idea? No idea. Okay. So here, if you have any act, if you want to do any changes to this already existing act, or if you want to bring any new act or any new law, that can be done by whom? Parliament. If you want to bring any new law or if you want to change already existing law, that can be done by only Parliament. Okay, so Parliament includes who? Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, right? Okay, so the bill has to be placed in Lok Sabha, it has to pass here, and it has to introduce in the second house, it has to pass here, and after passing that, President has to give assent, means nothing but sign, then only we can make that law or we can change that law. That is a normal ordinary process. But what happens if one house is not in session? Lok Sabha is in session, for example, let us think Rajya Sabha is not in session. Or else Lok Sabha is not in session, Rajya Sabha is in session. Here you have to remember one concept. A bill will become an act or any change we can make if it is passed in both houses. It has to pass in both houses, then only we can make a new law or we can change. So even when one house is in session, if one is not, we cannot pass that law. Okay. For example, let us take one condition. Both the houses are not in session. Then also we cannot pass law. But if there is any urgent public importance, it is a very, very necessary time. We have to make a law. Then we have some extraordinary powers. That extraordinary power is given to president at central level, and at the state level we have governor at the state level. They have extraordinary power that is called as ordinance. What is meaning of ordinance? Whenever these houses are not in session, whenever this both houses are not in session, or if only one house is in session, our president or governor means nothing but at state level. We have state legislative assembly and we have council at the state level. We don't have Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha at the state level. Okay, you have that basic idea, right? Assembly and council will be at the state level. If those are not session at the state level, then governor will use this power of ordinance. In Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, president will be using this power of ordinance. And what they'll do? They will make laws. This power is called as ordinance. And after this, houses will come into session. You know this budget session, monsoon session, winter session, right? Yearly we have these 3 sessions. Whenever this houses are in session, again that has to place in the houses and that had to be passed. If passed, then they will become like normal laws. If they are not passed, means they will die. Okay, this is the process here. Now, here president used ordinance and made some changes to already existing law related to appointment of judges, and we increased the number of Supreme Court judges in this parliament now. Clear? So that is a story to understand this. Now let us see what exactly this article is saying. So this article is saying that how many judges were appointed now? 5 new judges were appointed to Supreme Court. Okay, now it increased to 38 and this had been done through presidential ordinance. In this 5 also 2 appointments were filled. Already there are 2 vacancies in the Supreme Court, 2 were filled and 3 were like newly created post. Now the question is about this newly created post. Why? Because if ordinance of this president, if it is passed in this parliament, it's okay. That 3 new posts will be retained. But what if this ordinance is not passed? Means what about these 3 new posts which had been created? Whether they are valid or invalid. Already they are appointed, they were sworn and they have started giving justice, or they started giving justice delivery system in the Supreme Court. If this ordinance is not passed when this house is convened, then what happened? We have to remove them or not? This is a big question. Okay. So here, if UPSC wants to give a question, what it will ask? Consider the following statements regarding ordinance making power of president or ordinance making power of governor. Like that they will give you a question, guys. As of now, remember this, and whenever houses will convene, then we have to think about whether this will be passed or not. We will be getting big highlights at that time. Okay, as of now, remember, through presidential ordinance, we increased the number of Supreme Court judges and we made 5 posts. In that 2 filled already existing vacancies and only 3 were the new posts, and the question is about this 3 new posts. Clear? That's it, guys. Okay, see these questions. First one, it is about ordinance. Can you see the question? This is prelims question. Consider the following statements regarding ordinances in India. And there are 4 statements and they ask which of the above statements are correct. Read out the statements. First one is, President can promulgate an ordinance only when both houses of parliament are not in session. Second one, an ordinance has same force and effect as Act of Parliament. An ordinance ceases to operate 6 weeks after Parliament reassembles unless approved. The president can promulgate an ordinance without the aid and advice of Council of Ministers. If you see this topic in detail in the polity, what exactly you know now here is if houses are not in session, that is in the both the houses whenever they are not in session, if one house is not in session, this ordinance can be used. Okay, and whenever this houses they will convene, then at that time we have to introduce that ordinance in this houses, and the maximum life of this ordinance is 6 months and 6 weeks. And next one more thing here is ordinance through which we are making laws, and through this process also we are making laws. They will be having same power. Okay, and one more thing here is, you know, president is just a rubber stamp, and he has to follow aid and advice of Council of Ministers. These are some discretionary powers that you learn in this polity class. Don't worry. Okay, don't take that much sense that I don't know this. You came here to learn only. Okay. See here now. Read out the first statement. Is that right or wrong? They said only when both houses are not in session. Even if one house is in session, also they can pass this. No, it is not only. Then first statement will be wrong. Eliminate this. Answer will be like that. Okay, see that. Okay, see this one, guys. Consider the following statements regarding spotted deer. First one is spotted deer is the most common deer species found in India. It is endemic to Western Ghats. What is the meaning of endemic? So normally if you see PYQs, they will ask one statement on this endemic. That endemic will be for sure, it will be wrong only. So you have to know some tips and tricks to solve this kind of questions. Okay. So if you know that, then prelims will be easy to answer. Next one here is it is an herbivorous. Normally we know deer, buffalo, cow, they are herbivores only. So in your answer 3 should be there for sure. And if you don't know this, keep it aside. Okay, 3 will be there in your answer. One statement, one option got eliminated. Okay. And first one is, it is commonly seen in India. That means 1 should be there. So see the options where you have 1, 3. Okay, in all these 3 statements, in all these 3 options we have this. And next one is 2, we are eliminating it. So normally, if there is any species which should be given more protection, then only that will be in use. Are we like bothering about the rats or cats which are present in our homes? No, no. So that means obviously Schedule 1 is nothing but under this Wildlife Protection Act, government will be providing protection for that animal. So if government is providing protection, then only that will be present in zoo or some areas, right? So the answer will be 1, 3 and 4. Okay. So here they may also change the statement to IUCN Red List, says that it is vulnerable or endemic, endangered or critically endangered, like that they may also frame you a statement related to that. But IUCN status is nothing but it is least concern. So obviously many a times this IUCN Red List will be for sure wrong and this statement will be maximum right. Like that you have to do here. And you have to say about discretionary powers of governor and president. On that UPSC can ask you questions. Okay, only extraordinary circumstances UPSC will focus, not like general things. Okay, in the polity point of view, you have to see that one. Okay, always president is a rubber stamp. He has to act on aid and advice of Council of Ministers. And even governor also same issue. And recently there is issue between Delhi Lieutenant Governor and Chief Minister case. You have to see that thing. So what Supreme Court said related to the powers of governor and CM. Okay, in this way you have to analyze these articles. Any doubts? Yeah, that's all guys. By this I'm concluding. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like this class, please do the like button and please do share this class to your friends. And if you have not yet been subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe guys. Thank you so much.